I turned on the TV the other day, planning to watch one of my weekly shows, only to find out that it was no longer running. The network had canceled it, just like that. Some of my favorite characters were no more. I was a little taken aback at what seemed like a sudden decision on the network's behalf. But I also realized that there's more to keeping a show on the air than just me wanting to watch it. The network looks at all sorts of factors like ratings, demographics, and advertising revenue. The shows that produce good numbers are kept, and the ones that don't are canceled. Lately, it seems like there's a lot more than just shows being canceled. There are cancellations happening in all sorts of other ways, mostly through social media, but also by boycotting or protesting certain books, brands of products, or companies. It's now commonplace to cancel people because one may disagree with something they said, something they did, or maybe even something that is assumed from what was actually meant. Then, once a disparity of opinion is found, the canceled person or entity is scrutinized under a microscope. People dig up old stories or dredge up the past until some juicy nugget is discovered that can be used as a means to further publicly punish or shame an individual, often launching straight into judgment before guilt has even been established. The intent is never to help anyone see their error, in fact, if there is an error, but the objective is simply to have them shunned or erased from existence. Have you ever done something like this? Have you ever disagreed with or been offended by someone so much that you thought it would be beneficial to find and expose the other person's faults or errors? But let me ask you this. If you were to dig into your own past, would you stand the test of absolute perfection? Have you never been wrong about a person? Never made hurtful remarks that you now regret? Can you guarantee that there's no one out there that harbors ill will toward you? Probably not. If you're honest with yourself, you'll have to admit that you are guilty of this to some degree. I know I certainly am. I think we all are. So why is it okay to participate in a cancellation when someone else is being negatively impacted? Is it because they deserve to be humiliated or punished more than we do? Should they be held more accountable for their words or actions than us? Well, that's not how the Bible explains it. Do not judge, or you too will be judged. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in someone else's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? You hypocrite! First take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. The old do not judge others stance sounds good, but do we really believe it? Well, it's as simple as this. We are all guilty of something. As much as we might like to think that it's not as bad as what someone else is doing, in God's eyes, it's all equally unacceptable. Because only God is perfect, and only He has the right to find us guilty and decide the consequences for our actions. But God did something that was exactly the opposite of how we act towards each other. He sent us His Son, Jesus, not to judge us, but to take our side. Jesus could have canceled us. He could have said, "That's it, you made this mess, you're guilty, and you're officially out of my life." But instead, Jesus bore our consequences for our sinful actions. He paid the penalty, He took the punishment, and He canceled our debts to God. God's words tell us, "For He forgave all our sins." He canceled the record of the charges against us and took it away by nailing it to the cross. It's a far cry from what we see today, from how we react to those who commit an offense against us. So how should we respond to this cancel culture? I guess we could just decide to have nothing to do with it. But maybe, instead of just ignoring it or trying to steer clear of it, what if we look at it as an opportunity instead? That might seem like a pretty big stretch, but maybe when cancel culture tries to blot out its next mark, we step into that void and use it as an opportunity to show the kind of love that Jesus showed us. When society looks to erase someone, we look to raise them up. When the world is pushing someone down, we reach out with a helping hand. When everyone is pointing fingers, we point everyone to Jesus and to his work on the cross. And most importantly, instead of getting lost in all of the noise and the condemnation, we remember this fact. But God demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Will it make a difference? It just might make a difference to that one person we reach out to. Will it change the world? Well, Jesus already has that part in the works, and there's no way anyone is going to cancel his plan.